the South African government have said they will hand over the G20 presidency to an empty seat. Alright, the South African government said they will not be sending a delegation to USA just to hand over the G20 presidency. Instead, the South African government said they will hand over to an empty chair. Empty chair. This is very funny actually. They said they will be handing over to an empty chair. It's a kind of symbolic way, handing over to an empty chair. This followed after the United States of America refused to come for the G20 summit. The G20 summit in South Africa. The South African government were supposed to hand over the G20 presidency to the United States of America at the G20 summit. But the United States now refused to come to South Africa. I will tell you the reason. They refused to come to South Africa, and they did not even send delegation to South Africa for G20 summit. So South Africa now said they will not be traveling to USA, and they will not be sending delegation to USA to hand over the G20 presidency. Instead, in a symbolic way, they will be handing over to an empty chair. This is very, very interesting. Just stay with me as we continue this analysis, and I will tell you why this happened like this. If you have been following the events recently, you will discover that Donald Trump as the President of America announced that the USA will not be participating in the G20 leadership summit at Johannesburg, and he cited some reasons which I wouldn't want to bore us with it in this video. He cited some reason, and that was the major reason why USA did not go to South Africa for the G20 summit. While the president of South Africa criticized Donald Trump's decision, he said he called it is their loss. Their loss. That is the loss of the USA not to be in the G20 summit, and he ordered states that critical decision will still continue. They will still make critical decision whether USA is in the meeting or they are not. They will still continue with critical decision that concern the G20 and her members. So they say USA absence will not stop the G20 from making critical decisions. So he termed it is their loss. So this is getting interesting. Just keep watching. He further states that the G20 summit will not be suspended just because of one country that is absent. But then, do you agree with that? Do you think the absence of United States of America in the G20 summit is something we should neglect? Do you think G20 will function optimally, effectively, without United States of America? Everybody knows how powerful the country is. So do you think G20 will function optimally without the USA? Just like what the president of South Africa said. Just like what the president of South Africa said, that with or without United States of America, the G20 summit will continue in Johannesburg. So what's your thought on this? Do you think the absence of USA in the G20 summit, will it affect it? Will those decisions taken at the G20, will it still stand? And how effective do you think it will be? Let me know in the comment section, and keep watching. Let's look at it further. Here is the bigger diplomatic message. The decision to symbolically hand over the presidency to an empty chair is not just procedural. It's a political signal that South Africa will not bow to Washington. The implication The implications of South Africa handing over the G20 presidency to an empty chair is one implication is diplomatic friction. Currently, the United States, the USA, and South Africa are having a kind of diplomatic rift. So for South Africa to further maintain that she will not travel to USA to hand over the G20 presidency, it will further increase the diplomatic friction between the two countries. That currently there is a problem, and this action will further increase the diplomatic friction between South Africa and United States of America. And the second implication is the G20 legitimacy. The legitimacy of the G20. This is awkward because this is the first time there will be something like this, handing over the presidency to an empty chair, a symbolic handing over to an empty chair. So it's a kind of awkward and it's something new. So will it be legitimate to hand over to an empty chair symbolically? The third implication is South Africa is sending a global signal. They're sending signal to the whole world that, hey, you cannot just come and bully us. We are a sovereign country, so you shouldn't bully us. And they are also sending a signal that it's not all about hosting the G20 presidency, but it's about using our presidency to champion developmental programs globally. So summarily, I will say the decision by the South African government to hand over the G20 presidency to an empty seat is not only symbolic, but it's a strategic way of trying to prove a point that the South African government will not bow to pressure, whether it's coming from the Washington DC, it's coming from any of the Western developed country. They are maintaining their ground that, hey, we will not bow to pressure, wherever, however, from whomever it is coming. So as of now, South Africa is still maintaining their ground that they will symbolically hand over the G20 presidency to an empty seat. So let's watch as we see how the whole event unfold, and what will the reaction of the United States of America be, and how will the global community look at the whole of the scenario. Do you think this action will not have a negative implication on the G20, the South African government, the United States of America, and everybody globally? What's your thought on that? Thank you very much for watching. This is AfriFact.